Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We are your award-winning Tottenham Hotspur podcast, and we return on the back of Spurs making a fairly decent start in their European journey. I'm joined by two actors and a compere, and I can't get any more uncomfortable if I tried by just how amazing these people are. If you're with us for the first time, you can find us on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're across all major audio platforms. We're of course on X. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook too, and taking you into your weekend. Mr. Richard Cracknell returns, as does actor TJ Ramini, and the ever-inspiring actor as well. He is the man. The Hartman is in the house. The beating heart of Last Word on Spurs return. And look, smiling faces. Yes, smiling faces. Can you believe it? Smiling faces. I'm not sure they were smiling after the opening 5, 6, 7 minutes of what we thought was going to come. But listen, Spurs... This is what I love about this club, full of surprises, full of unpredictability at the moment. And Spurs do beat Qarabag in their opening game by 3-0 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It means for Tottenham, it is 3 wins in a row under Ange Postecoglou's stewardship. Let's start with a bit of the heart, man. Let's start with a bit of the heart of what we need. Dal, you've been wanting to smile for a long time on Last Word on Spurs. It feels like it's been ages. You can smile. You can be happy. You're giggling. How do you feel?
Listen, I feel good. You know what? There's a lot to break down from today. But you know me, I'm always going to look for the positives first. And you know what? It's a win. We're off the mark. We've won the game. There were some crazy moments in it. But there's a lot of confidence to be built into this side. And that's what today was. I feel there's a lot of positive to take out of it. And let's keep running. Let's keep running. Let's keep this machine warm. It's heating up now. Let's keep it warm. I'm happy, man. I'm happy.
Oh, man, I'm happy. And you're happy. And look, Spurs are winning in the cup. Of course I'm bloody happy. I don't think it makes me happy these days. You know what it is, these guys. You know what it is, these guys. Listen, back from one actor to another. And my God, we love his voiceover as we do. TJ Ramini's back in the house. TJ, mate, lovely to have you back on here. I can't believe I'm saying this. A clean sheet. And I really didn't actually believe that would be possible.
So many surprises this evening. I think some of them are going to take longer to get over than others. A clean sheet, I couldn't believe that either, especially considering we gave away a penalty as well. Lovely to be back on the show. Esteemed company. Crackers, lovely to see you. Darren, lovely to see you too, mate. And of course, the captain of the ship that is Ricky Sachs, steering us with grace and aplomb, dear boy. Nice to see you all.
Bless you, mate. This is one old big ship to steer with these superstars on here. How can I live with myself? Just I've got to say, just seeing Crackers to my right, the intimidation I feel, you don't want to know. And Crackers, 3 points, a clean sheet. And we can see, as you've been away on that annual leave, that we most of you, of course, granted you, but you've got back-to-back games now coming up. Someone's got to do the graveyard shift. Cracks has been served it. Definitely for those that have been concerned, that Ange poster behind you is firmly locked in. It might actually a new banner to it. It's still there.
Still there. The Tony Pulis poster lurks in the wings. Don't worry. It's there. It's in the bubble wrap still. It's ready to go, but let's hope that's where it stays. Welcome, Tony Pulis. Welcome, Tony Mowbray. All the Tonys coming in.
We can't do this.
See, the actors in the house think Tony's is the awards. It's not me. It's my lineup of managers waiting to go on the wall, the Tonys.
I want Tony Cascarino as well. If you get that one, I want one more.
I was going to say the same thing.
Okay.
We're going to have some fun. Look, a lot to get into. We are conscious that we did start late as well, given the nature of... Look, I saw something actually sound online.
I have to interrupt. Speaking of Tonys and speaking of arriving late, Tony Chalky is one of the gentlemen who's listening to us or watching us now, said, "Where is this panel? Did they get here on the Qarabag bus?" Which I thought was absolutely magnificent.
Sorry
to interrupt you, but another Tony needed a shout.
No, please. That took me to a really nice thing. What I was going to say there is that, we are actually emulating, Spurs emulating us now by trying to be as late as possible, if you're not Qarabag, of course. That apparently darted down the high road. Yes, they darted down the high road. Can you quite believe it? Look, before we go into the game, and look,
Rick, before we start, can you imagine Haringey Council and their parking wardens if there's an abandoned Eastern European bus on the high road? They've come back to that. There's got to be about 30 grand's worth of tickets on there. Innit? You would not be able to see through that windscreen for tickets stuck to it, would you? Honestly, Qarabag's going to have to win this cup just to pay their fines now. They've got to go through and win this now. because they're in the hock to Haringey Council now for £30,000.
You know what I love? When you get in a way of guests like this, I don't really need to talk much, which is absolutely brilliant. So we can just request these three every single week, every single game. And I mean you that as well, Mac. I know Mac is listening somewhere, bless his heart, back on a train or an automobile or a plane. If you saw what Crackers did a couple of years ago, he covered all bases when he was on his way back to a game. But Macca, we love you. We'll see you Sunday. But look, these are absolute talkers that we need. And look, talk about talkers. Are we doing this for the best? You decide. Look, last one on Spurs, we're delighted to say a finalist once again in the Football Content Awards for 2024. We're not up for one. We're not up for two. We're up for 3 nominations. But we're urging you. We're steering you. We're guiding you. We love you to vote for us in the best podcast in the Premier League category via, if you hit that QR code live for our watching audience, that obviously tune into this show week upon week. For those on the audio, you'll catch all the details in our description link. And again, I've got to say, the support that we've had for this show in the last 7-8 years, although we're probably all age doing it, has been absolutely remarkable. You know, I can't tell you how much love we get off the street, going for shopping. I can't tell you the most random places I've been stopped to tell you, love last one of Spurs, keep doing what you're doing. Even when I'm trying to have an argument. When the missus over
let's have it right with this award ceremony. Now, listen, this is a plea to you all watching and listening, okay? These awards are at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, okay? Mm-hmm. Mob down the road are also nominated in a couple of these categories. So you absolutely know that they're going to be going, right, get voting. Imagine if we go there and we win the award at their stadium. So you just know that they're all over this, absolutely all over this. So there's only one thing to do, people. Got to make sure that they do not win this at our stadium. We have to win this at our stadium, and that comes down to you. I can't keep logging in. I've got about 400 phones on the go here where I'm logging in. I'm not, by the way.
He's got the whole of Casablanca and Lanzarote voted, okay? Just bear in mind, we're not trying to rig this at all, right, Cracks? We're not trying to rig it at all.
Exactly, yeah, but please get voting. I know how much you enjoy it, and we love all the comments and everything. So, yeah. And I promise not to go missing this time like I did in Liverpool last year, Rick. All right,
yeah, he did.
I will hang about.
11 at night and we're trying to find somebody in Anfield. Can you imagine that? Well, that must have been like. Right. I know it sounds strange. We actually won a game. We've got 3 back-to-back victories, which are lovely. We've got to discuss it, and a clean sheet. I know you can't quite believe it. I can't quite believe it either. It was a lovely, lovely experience. I am going to open up, if I can, with the Hartman himself, because I say we've been waiting and craving a victory for Dow back on this show. Dow, look, full-time Spurs 3, Qarabag 0. A really positive night as a whole, though we can say in the opening 5-6 minutes, there was a concern around that. They played 83 minutes with just 10 men, as we know, after Dragusin's red card. That could have really become a very different result. But look, goals by Brennan Johnson, Pat Matassar, Dominic Solanke earning a really, really important 3 points. With United to come, the question I'll ask you, Dal, are we getting momentum at the right time?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Because today was a game, and also if you look at what we went through in the Cup as well, there were banana skin games. There were games where Tottenham could have absolutely fell off the bus and absolutely ruined themselves, and the fan base would have turned, the heads would have gone down. Today was a day where we needed to get the win. And by any means necessary, that win had to come. And we're going down to 10 men. Of course, the fan base were going crazy. Of course, the WhatsApp groups were going crazy. We're going to hit the panic button. We're going to self-destruct. And we didn't. Yes, they had chances, but they didn't take them. We had chances and we took ours. We've been so critical of our front line of not taking chances and us being wasteful. And today we weren't. And today confidence has been put in Brennan Johnson. Confidence has been put in Solanke. Confidence will also be put in people like Gray, who played 90 minutes in a position that isn't his, and that he did a great job and he got through the game, and clean sheet, Vicario getting a clean sheet, a penalty being missed. There can be so many things that he's going to lift this side. Playing nearly 90 minutes, because when you do the time added on, they played 90 minutes with 10 men. And that camaraderie, that bond that those players will get out of that, the fans were with them tonight as well. It's a great win. There is so much positive to take from it, and the momentum is going. That 3 wins on the bounce. Brennan Johnson scored 2 in 2. Solanke's now he looks like the player that we bought. He looks like the one we wanted. The movement's there. He's getting sharper. He's starting to understand the link-up play with everybody. And listen, if you're a Spurs fan tonight and you can't be happy with what you just saw, have a word. Have a word. Let's have a laugh. You know what I mean? Yes, they did have chances. They didn't score. Yes, they had a penalty and he ballooned it, crossbar and over. Let's celebrate tomorrow. Let's smile. We beat Qarabag. We're living a dream. We're still in the cup. It's all the momentum is just moving forward. It's a positive one. And I'm here for it. I'm here for a positive one. I'm here for it. Always here for a positive.
You know what I loved as you said that for our listeners' audio? Cracker's dipped his head for a second and the words Dow said, "We've just beat Qarabag 3-0. Why can't we enjoy this?" And Cracks went like this. Always. I don't know what that means. I can't tell you what that means. But, there's certain things you say on last one on Spurs that you never thought you would say. We've just beaten Qarabag 3-0. I mean, look, there's bigger and bolder tests to come, Cracks. But you're smiling. And it hasn't always been the case in this season, Cracks. So it's lovely to obviously have a win. And I think you got to go back, actually, to December of 2020. Well, December of 2023 last year for Spurs to have 3 wins in a row. So it's a lovely feeling at the moment to have a momentum gainer. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, very much so. And I know sometimes teams in Europe can be looked down upon a little bit. I don't know. Maybe it's that little Englander thing that happens. People go, carry a bag. You get all that. But they're no mugs. Basically, they're in the Europa League year in, year out. One of the stats this evening when I was watching the game, their players have between them racked up nearly 500 European appearances between that starting team tonight. And I think we were something like 170 odd, 180. I think they said it was. They're a pretty decent technical outfit. And as I said, people look down their nose a little bit, but they really are a fairly decent side. So, even with 11 men, we was always going to be a few moments here and there where we was going to be up against it. The fact we went down to 10 men on 7 minutes and then kicked on from there and actually looked quite good with a slightly changed team, albeit quite strong. I think it was a good performance tonight. I really do. It was actually a decent game to watch. If Qarabag had been a little bit more not so toothless in front of goal, they'd done everything right except for the end part. they might well have nicked a couple, but they didn't. And we've won this 3-0 and it's happy days, Rick. It really is. And it's just nice to see clean sheet. Vic had a good game. Mikey Moore comes on. Brennan Johnson. Wow. I mean, I'm just not getting
that's
where
this... That's the way to answer your critics, though, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, you just go out there and you do that. And I think he's a terrific young player. Sometimes there's the odd mistake and, he goes maybe a little bit missing in some games, but this is what young players do. And I just don't understand why people don't see that and go, okay, not today, maybe a little bit beyond his years yet, but keep behind him, and I think he's done terrifically well and shown a good bit of character for everything that's been slung at him. It's just, I find it weird, you're supposed to be a supporter of the club and yet you're just absolutely monstering your own players more than you would somebody of an opposition team. It's just, no, I'm not having it. But tonight, good, really, really good. I have my reservations about Ange, but, it's you can't complain. The way we played tonight and we dug in and showed some character, brilliant. A really, really entertaining evening.
Yeah. What's funny is I've seen a lot of people say, this is absolute heart attack football at times watching it. And there's McQueen the guy going, no, it isn't. I'm thinking, you're there, Macca. What are you on about? You're there. And you're saying it's not heart attack football. Let's bring TJ, my man, in. TJ Ramini. Look, do you know what's funny about that game, TJ? That, we had that kind of 4 or 5 minute early period where I think maybe many felt, concerned about the worst that might have happened. Obviously, after that setting off, which we'll come on to, but there was some really good, I'd say, hard-working performances in there that shouldn't really go amiss. Players that, for the likes of Archie Gray, I mean, you can see the potential that this young kid is going to be an absolute superstar in times. And we'll discuss Lucas Bergvall shortly as well, because he looked absolutely devastated to come off, did Lucas. And again, I think when you look at the guy's devastation on his face, yeah, I mean, look, he was expecting to play, he was wanting to play, but what this Europa League competition will do is provide players an opportunity to get game time that they may not get in the Premier League. But overall, TJ, look, I don't think we can complain too much. That was a very tough game on paper. We actually exchanged messages before the game, and we both said this is not going to be easy. They're a good side, they're a technical side, and as we saw, had a number of chances. And to be fair, the great thing about Spurs was they were clinical, and Qarabag wasn't.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, just to echo the sentiments of Darren and of Crackers, and of course yourself, anyone who knows this game, there's no such thing as an easy tie in a European competition. And the things with Qarabag is that, not only are they a well-drilled technical team, they've also been playing together for a long time. To Cracker's point, 500 European games, some of them. I mean, that's an extraordinary number to consider. I'm actually going to go one up on what the boys have already said. I thought tonight was a really inspiring performance. And to Darren's point, not only an important victory, dare I say, a galvanizing victory. Of course, if we can go on to build on that, if we can go to Old Trafford and get a result there, that would be wonderful. But tonight could be one of those games that for coaches and players alike, they'll be able to recall and go, listen, you've just played 90 minutes with 10 men and scored 3 goals. And also not just scoring goals and keeping clean sheets. Of course, that's important. The manner in which that victory was achieved, I think, was highly impressive from a group of very, very young men. I know it can be quite tricky, can be quite peculiar to look at somebody like Dejan Kulusevski, for example. It's a big lump of a guy, full beard, all that kind of thing. He's all of 23 years old. And so these young men have really stood up and been counted tonight. I'm sure we're going to have lots of Archie Gray conversations this evening. We absolutely should. What a cultured, mature, calm, composed performance. What an elegantly skillful two-footed player, both in brain and in feet. My goodness, what a signing. People talking about Henry Winkler being in the chat. Henry's not in the chat, but Max, his son, who's my good friend, is, because Max is Leeds. And Max was texting me going, how good is this kid? I told you. And he was outstanding today. And I hope that our listeners and our viewers and my fellow illustrious panelists will also gain real heart and positivity and optimism from what a heroic performance that was tonight. Really courageous. We saw that mob from down the road go 1-0 down. I understand they're playing the best team in Europe. And so, okay, if you want to park the bus, do it. But we didn't waste time. We didn't kick the ball away. No dark arts, no nothing. We went after it heroically. And I'm very, very proud to be a Tottenham supporter this evening.
Lovely words there, TJ, and lovely, lovely words. I will just bring in actually the words of the Qarabag manager, who after the game has given us his thoughts just in general with the traffic congestion, who says, imagine you were caught in traffic for more than 2.5 hours. I don't want to make excuses. It shouldn't have happened. We had to come ourselves. There was no police to escort us. It had a big impact on our players. But that doesn't take away anything from our opponent. As soon as we arrived, we were told in 40 minutes we had to start. We were not as prepared as we should have been, but these are the things that happen. I mean, again, it's one of those where I suppose for any team, you are going to be up against it when there are traffic congestions. And to be fair, for those that have battled the A10, the North Cirque, to get to the game, come back to the game, to watch the game, as we know, Spurs is an area where it can be pretty unforgiving on the traffic. So look, it is one of those things, but you would say that really for Qarabag, with all due respect, they had the perfect opportunity because they obviously had that opportunity where Dragusin got sent off. They were playing against 10. They had so many chances. So many may look at that and feel it's been sour grapes from the manager, the way he'd go to that and veer to straight away that in terms of their overall performance. But I think I would say it as TJ said, all the power to Tottenham, because heads could have quite easily dropped after going down to 10. And I think what really gave me some real excitement about this game for me was the way in which we did contest every ball, the way we did fight, we had desire. And I've been saying before for me that what I want to see in this second season is a real general buy-in from the players that are behind Postecoglou. They recognise their roles and what they need to do. And I think the biggest compliment I can pay those players out there that performed was that everybody knew what they had to do. Everyone knew their jobs. There was no drop in desire. There was no drop in effort. And, that's the thing. When you are rotating the team, there will be players thinking, well, am I in your first team plans? The great thing for me is that you look at all those players that gave their all in that game. every player looks like they're chomping at the bit. We're 3 wins in a row. We've just kept a clean sheet. And I think we've all emphasised this actually before the game. Qarabag are not a bad side. They're a good technical European side. Cracks has mentioned, of course, of the amount of caps they've amassed to date. In terms of the team overall international-wise, they're a good side. Andrew's been speaking about Brennan Johnson. He said, I thought Brennan was really important for us, particularly in terms of going forward and with them being down to 10. I thought he, Dom and Sonny provided that. I thought it was a good goal for us as we were down a man, but we pressed really well. Him and Dom have a really good relationship, and I think we saw that actually in the game, just how much there seems to be some really nice interlinking play between Brennan and between Dom. But he's had 3 goals in 3 games for Brennan. Long may that continue. And again, what I would say to people on Brennan Johnson is that, you know what, if you're criticising a player like that, you can't have been around in the late 80s, early 90s. God, there'd be players closing their Instagram, social media every week. I mean, I don't want to say if you was around in the 90s watching it. And again, I don't want to make that as a joke. And, you know, we don't condone any form of abuse to our players or any players for that matter. So I would just say, look, the best support you can give to a player is supporting them through a tough moment. So look, I think I say we'll come on, I'm sure, to more of it. Let's go straight in terms of the lineup, because, again, this was going to be an interesting one for whoever was thinking about what Spurs may or may not do. So Ange named a fairly strong team for this game, of course, as part of Spurs' first European game, in which he made 6 changes on the side that beat Brentford in the Premier League. Those 6 changes all came in defence and midfield, with Postecoglou giving the front 3 that beat Brentford the run out again. The interesting piece of team news that it was Vicario starting in goal, with Fraser and Forster chose to occupy a Europa League squad place at the expense of Jed Spence. But as we mentioned, it was Vicario who got the nod in the first game of the campaign. As expected for many, Dragusin came in with Christian Romero suspended, while Archie Gray got a start at right back with Ben Davies playing instead of Destiny Udogie. Then the midfield, it was completely different to that faced the Bees. Yves Bissouma came back into the starting lineup for the first time since his injury setback, with Pat Matassar alongside him. Lucas Bergvall also got a chance to impress for as little time as that was, unfortunately, as we knew he was withdrawn very early on. So that team read Vicario, Gray, Dragusin, Van der Ven, Davis, Bissouma, Sarr, Bergvall, Johnson, Solanke, Son, with a big bench of Forster, Austin, Udogie, Porro, Moore, Bentancur, Kulusevski, Madison, Moore, Lancashire, Werner. One thing to bear in mind is that, you know, Spurs, they only made 10 places available on that bench. They can have 12, but just 10 were selected by Spurs. And as I say that to you, we've been getting some news coming through from Ange Postecoglou on Heung-min Son's overall fitness. Of course, for those that missed it, Heung-min Son was withdrawn late on during that game. Ange has reported that Sonny felt a bit of tightness, but he hasn't spoken to him or the medical staff as of yet. So just one to keep an eye on, of course. Manchester United, it's a quick turnaround between now and Sunday. But I mean, look, we'll go into the course of the game if we can. I'll come to you, TJ. Listen, I mean, it was the worst possible start, if we're going to be honest with you, when you look at the way in which Spurs went down to 10 men very early on. Dragusin, a European debut for him, comes to an end after just 7 minutes, tackling Juninho on the halfway line and bringing down the Qarabag forward, which earned him a straight red. Now, many would say it was a daft moment of madness. He failed to control the ball. Then he brought Juninho down as a last man. I mean, a bit of awful decision-making, which then forced Destiny Udogie to come on. And from those that can see this still here, I mean, he gets his body all wrong, really in the wrong position. I mean, I have to ask you, TJ, nothing but a red, could it be, in your eyes?
Absolutely straight red. Yeah, absolutely straight red. I mean, of course, listen, no one's going to feel worse on the planet right now than this poor boy. However, these kind of self-inflicted wounds, we just have to get that out of our game. There's still too many guys in this team. And listen, another young man, right? Another young man, but not as young as others. And that's just lack of composure and lack of concentration. I think that there is a very fine line between being relaxed, which of course you want to be, and being self-assured, but before it kind of edges into complacency, dare I say, arrogance. And for a big lad like this, he did show that he has some pace, some recovery pace. We saw that a couple of weeks ago. Made a gut-busting run and timed his sliding tackle to perfection. But you just got to make sure that you're switched on and that you're focused. I thought that both Sarr and Bissouma had good games tonight because they were under immense pressure. And yes, they gave the ball away a couple of times. But if you're a central midfielder, every time you touch the ball, you're going to be getting closed down by at least 2 players. As a centre-back, especially against a team that is going to try to sit off us because we're playing at home and we are, no disrespect to Qarabag, but, a bigger club than they are. And so they're going to look to sit and counter. You have even more time on the ball than a team who's going to press you, than a Liverpool, for example, or a City who we have coming up shortly, or even our nasty neighbours. And so you have to make sure that mentally you're focused and switched on. That to me was verging towards the kind of complacent arrogance, and that is unacceptable. Like I said, I don't think we need to heap too much misery onto this poor boy. He'll know. However, these are the kind of elements that we just have to eradicate from our game, because to Darren's point, we're starting to look like it's all kind of coming together, right? So those are the kind of things that can undo you, especially when everyone's working so hard on both sides of the ball. I know we're going to talk about him as well, but big up, Big Dom. I really like this guy. I really like him. Shades of Harry Kane-esque kind of, not his ability, of course not, like who on the planet is as good as Harry Kane, but as far as his work rate, dropping deep, heading balls away on corners and set pieces, coming in, like playing off passes, he absolutely worked his arse off tonight for the team. That's all I've seen from this big lad thus far. Big up, man. Huge respect to you. And of course, it was his industry and his raw power and physicality that led to Brennan's first goal, which was absolutely vital for us. It came 4 minutes after getting a player sent off at home in a position that we're not exactly spoilt in. We are desperately in need of more centre-backs. And so huge praise to the players that shouldered the burden, and to poor Radu. Just switch on, lad. Let's not see that again.
Yeah, I mean, I think, coming over to you, Cracks, I mean, I don't want it to be a night of negatives, because we've had a really good performance there. We've had 3 points as well, but it's a real shame for Dragusin, because, you felt this was going to be a competition where he would get regular game time. And you know what, for him, also in the long term, he needs to build that trust with Ange to get that valuable playing time. And that probably isn't the way to go about it, was it really, in the terms of the way in which that sending off occurred?
No, I mean, he's lacked game time, and he's just probably not judged just how quick Juninho could be, even though I said earlier on the WhatsApp group, Rick, that they're very, very quick on the counter. So we do need to be careful. But with defenders like Dragusin, they do need some game time, and if you're coming into games cold almost, like from a run, then these things can happen. It was a sloppy touch. It led him to lose the ball. He's then panicked, and he may well have been better off just letting him go through and taking his chances with Vic and see if he can save his bacon. So yeah, it was a rash thing. It hasn't hurt us in the end, so he should well learn from that. But Rick, I was so glad to see Bergvall taken off. Can you put the lineups again, the graphic up, please? Because when Bergvall went off, I thought to myself, good, I'm really glad he's gone off. What business has that boy got looking like that and being a potentially world-class footballer as well? It's sickening. Go away.
I said the same thing. As soon as he signed for us, I was like,
who look like that?
In the history of this club is ever going to sell more shirts than him? He looks like the 4th member of Aha. And they're all like, he's the good-looking one. Unbelievable.
Honestly, Rick, I hate people like that. We was talking the other day about an old podcast
like
I've done
a L'Oreal ad.
Oh, well, we had David Ginola in, and at the end of the night, I said to him, I really hate you, David. And he looked at me like, so I said, how can you be that good at football, that good at looking, and that nice a guy as well? I said, honestly, you disgust me. I hate you. So, yeah, so I'm glad Bergvall went off. Good. You can't be that's you being punished for being that good at football and that good looking. So.
not that crackers old that against him whatsoever.
I jest, of course. Yeah,
Of course he does.
Yeah, it was a shame for him, wasn't it? Because that would have been like a chance for him to shine. But he came off and he took it with good grace. You could, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's good. He needs to hide that face. He's too good looking. Pull that hood up further. He should have a balaclava on as well. Ridiculously good looking boy. But it was a shame. It was a real shame. But look, he's got time on his side. He'll get some more chances than that. And it was just one of those things. So
I totally agree, Cracks. You know, like, gutted for him. It'll be a moment he'll look back on, obviously, and it'll be premature of him to take that. But like you just said there, he's got an unbelievable career ahead of him. He'll be playing many times, just many he will do. I want to ask you one thing, just in terms of the nature of that sending off. If you don't mind me asking you, just to still hear. This is obviously before the sending off. This is for our watching audience, and we'll try and just narrate this to the listeners. At this moment in time, Mickey van der Ven has got possession of the ball, and you'll note that the only man that we've really got, as opposed to, like I say, nobody's in the Spurs half at this point, and this is still just before Qarabag breaking us and we lose the goal, or lose the sending off occurs. Dragusin, as you can see, there is on his own. I mean, I just want to ask you, Dal, you know, sure, he's at fault for the red card with an overhit pass, but it does show you this picture alone just how risky handball can be. That one small mistake, everything can crash down. Is that a fair way of looking at this? Or is it just a case that, look, these players have been asked to play this way for 12 to 13, 14 months. They're going to want to have the heavy highs of seeing counter-attacking football and the way in which you move the ball at such speed at times. Is that just a nature we're going to have to get used to that? And players are going to have to get used to that as well and really be, as Crackers and TJ have said about Dragusin, on the ball, essentially, with his eyes open at all times.
Yeah, I think people will look at it as a negative if you want to just see the negative. But this is the way we're going to play. We're going to be pushing teams back. We're going to be trying to play that high line. And he got pickpocketed. It was as simple as that. He had a bad touch. He got pickpocketed. And it's a learning curve. It's going to be a learning curve for everyone. And that's why I say today, there's so many positives you get from it because you're learning. He will learn about being in the right body shape for it. He will look at where he was, how he took the pass. Did he panic? As Cracker said, could he have gone, let me trust my keeper. Vic's still there. Let me just put my body right next to this guy and breathe down his neck because he is quick as well. Breathe down his neck and not pull him down. And it's all learning. And as TJ quite rightly mentioned, that's a young side we had out today. It's a very young side and they're going to learn. And that's why I feel like I say this, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. Our fan base has to give everyone a chance. Dragusin doesn't need to be shut down tonight. He doesn't need to be attacked for what he did because it's learning. You look at our young boy who came off today who got subbed and Bertville. Like, he sat there on the bench and you could see how much being on that pitch meant to him, how upset he is. I, as a fan, that rings to me, that screams to me of someone who wants to be a part of this project and wants to play. And when you look at a player like that, if he has a game where that face is a kid who's upset because he's made a mistake, we've got to be there to lift him. We've got to be there to support everybody. And that's where it's going to be really, it's going to be a real show of our character because this side is going to have days where the high line's going to cost us. We are going to make mistakes. We are going to not put away our chances. We've had days where we've been Qarabag, and we've had loads of chances and not scored. We've had all the possession in the box. We've looked like we should have battered aside. And then they go down the other end like we did to them and we score. And I think testament to what handball is doing right now, if you look at the game, 10 men, we were still pressing as a group. We were everything that Ant has set up, nothing changed.
Yep.
No one deviated from the plan. No one hit the panic button. The plan stayed the same. And that showed that the guys are investing in it. That showed that the team are liking this and they're learning into it. And it's going to work. And I think TJ spoke about Big Dom looking great up top today. And I think there's a real element to his game in the press that he starts the press all the time. He doesn't let any centre-half have time. He doesn't let the keeper have time. He wants to win the ball high. And that's why Ange identified him. And this is where we have to look at what we're doing in terms of our recruitment. They know what they're doing, but it will take time. We've just got to give this system time. We've got to believe in it. And congratulations, Spurs. Our first manager that's lasted the whole season. We're doing new things, you know what I mean? We're on a change. And right now, there's a player today who I don't think many people are going to talk about. And I'm just going to touch on him for a second. Ben Davies. Ben Davies today was one of the leaders on that pitch. And he did a job for us that we never really give him credit for, because he was a leader out there today. And it was 10 men, and you could see him being vocal, working his socks off, interceptions, keeping the line high, doing everything that Ange wanted to do. Players like that are going to be worth their weight in gold this season for us, because Romero can't play every game. Van can't play every game. And when Davis comes in, as a fan base, we've got to be behind him as well. And I think today was a game where there's so many more positives to take than there are negatives. Of course, we can see the negatives, and we're not idiots, and we're not going to feel like that was the best game of football ever. But there were so many more wins and so many more positive things to go forward with and to take into the Man United game.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. It is one of the positives, and he's a beaming positive right now, TJ, and a man that you've been so complimentary of in terms of his character, how young he is, and that we've got to mention is Brennan Johnson. You know, this guy, he's had a real tough time of things in a Spurs shirt, it's fair to say, over the last few weeks, but 10 men Spurs do go ahead. Brennan Johnson, 3 goals in 3 games now for the Spurs attacker, and his 50th it's his 50th goal of his senior career, and it came on his European debut. Siren Solanke winning the ball back up high. It goes back to what Dal said earlier. Solanke using that strength to tee up Johnson as he fired home into the bottom left corner. Big knee side celebration. And once again, it Spurs' press, even with 10 men, that catches a team out. And I know, like I say, TJ, you've been so firmly behind Brennan Johnson on here in terms of really just defending. That guy should not have had to go through what he's had to go through at such a young age when he put up 15 GAs plus last season. Already made a decent start to this one. 3 goals in 3 games. Is he just quite simply doing what he needs to do and silencing the doubters that, to some degree, they'll say he's got to do it in bigger games? And I do agree. But he's scoring goals. I mean, it's the toughest thing to do in football, and he's making it look so easy.
Yes, I mean, listen, he's answering his critics emphatically, and also he's doing it with great poise and grace and dignity, I'd say. The thing is, as well, about his finish today, you know, he's just picking his spot and just slotting the ball into the corner. To your point, Rick, you know, scoring a goal in football is one of the hardest things to do in sports. And you have infinite choices, right? When the ball ends up at your feet, you have infinite choices. What do I do with this? And he just seems to be making the right mental decision and then having the ability to execute. And so I'm delighted for him. And also it looks like the joy is coming back into this boy, which is testament to him, testament to the players that he has around him, testament to his family and his friends, and also testament to the coaches. And of course, I think it's really important that we mention that the harassment and the vitriolic abuse that this poor boy received was from a real minority of our fan base. The overwhelming support and love that this boy received from the Tottenham fan base, I think should really be commended. And I started the show by saying how proud I am to be a Tottenham fan this evening after this heroic performance of 10 men making 11 look very ordinary. And so that also filled me with pride that we got behind this young man, gave him the love and support that he needed. And he has not only answered his critics emphatically, he has met his supporters as well with the best possible answers. So I'm delighted for him. I'm so pleased that Darren mentioned Ben Davies. I'm not surprised, man, because I've done the show with you before and you always offer such insights. I thought he was immense this evening, not just in his leadership ability. Again, anyone who's ever played the game, if you have a player on your team, especially in your back line, who can carry the ball up the field and just relieve a little pressure, that is absolutely fundamental. It's so important. Somebody who has the confidence just to take on a couple of players and just dribble it out from the back. You're like, thank goodness we have a little bit of a rest. Because when a player dribbles the ball out the back rather than passes it, the whole opposing team has to reshuffle. And it just creates space and buys time. I also thought that ball that he kept on playing over the top to Sonny, he also played it a couple of times to Johnson and to Werner, you know, when people were switching wings. What an important pass that was. And again, I've already spoken a lot on this. I'm going to drop it after this, I promise you. But for critics of Ange saying he doesn't know how to change his tactics, well, a clipped ball over the top into the back left-hand corner, that's not a traditional Ange ball kind of, you know, ball to feet kind of pass. And he was doing it over and over and over again. with mixed effect, to be honest. However, it always alleviated pressure, bought us time, and often put us in a really dangerous attacking position. So I was delighted for him, and of course, delighted for Brennan. Big up the Welsh boys.
Yeah, oh man, totally agree. Lovely, lovely words there. And I think you can't underestimate the role that Slanky did play there in the opening goal. I mean, like I say, it was his first ever start in European football. He made 3 appearances for Klopp's Liverpool in 2017, 2018, including against City and Roma, and one from Mourinho's Chelsea side.
Man.
Yeah,
workhorse.
Absolutely
Love
agree.
him, man. Selfless player.
Yeah.
Selfless player, and he's our biggest ever signing. That's massive pressure coming from Bournemouth to Tottenham, and he's getting himself on the score sheet because he's getting into the right positions. He's such a hard-working guy. I really want to meet this lad and just say, man, mad respect for you. I think he brings us something entirely different that we've really been missing. Does he fill Harry's boots? Who does fill Harry's boots? But my goodness, what an acquisition, what an addition. And I guarantee there's nobody in that club or in that dressing room that doesn't have big respect for this lad. What an absolute lump of a geezer. And you just want to give him a big hug. Well done, Big Don, man. Delighted.
It's funny you say that, TJ. There's certain players that you can just see just can fit.
Yeah,
and the one thing you see with him, he does fit. He does lead that press, as Dal said, so well, that high press. And, look at the way Spurs had that first half in ascendancy. And it was really coming over to you, Dal, about the young players, the likes of Brennan Johnson, the likes of Archie Gray. There was actually a lovely little partnership developing, you could see, between Gray and Johnson. There's a shot that bounced wide. And again, Gray is... TJ actually said, chipping that ball over the top for Johnson to chase on. Qarabağ's keeper came rushing out and Johnson's side foot the shot into the side netting. But you just felt the ascendancy with Spurs were building. They were getting more confident, even with the 10 men. And there was one point in that game that Spurs held 76% of the possession, but there were concerns about the 2-man midfield, leaving them exposed at times. There was that big miss from Juninho, just over 6 yards out, and there should have really been an equaliser there. I think we all thought get to half-time, made it a tweak and change a few things. Is that the actual good thing about tonight, Dal? When you look at the result, there were times in that game that we were fairly uncomfortable. We were under the cosh, but the way we handled our application and our desire to ride through those storms, is that again a sign of a young team that are fighting through the adversity when we know they're not a bad side, Qarabag? And I know many might have just thought, it should be a walk in the park. They're a bloody good side, as Crack said. They've racked up a huge amount of international caps between all those players. This will serve them well, won't it, for the latter stages of this competition and also for the course of this season?
100%. Because like you said, through adversity, there are 10 men on that pitch. And that was for 90 minutes of football, because with time added on, 90 minutes with 10 men. And you're under pressure and you're learning and you're young. And a lot of those guys, it was their first European night. And it's under the spotlight and the pressure of our fan base. And it means so much. And Andrew said, we're going to win a trophy and it's a cup and we're in it. And they did so much to make themselves proud. And as I say, the key for me was sticking to Ange ball. Sticking to the thing that you've been told to do. Everyone to a man did their job. And there was a lovely moment late on in the game where Qarabag had it on their left-hand side and they tried to play out. Solanke led the press. Kulu went. Gray went. Sarr went. And it was just, they all understood the process. They all got it. They did it in unison and it looks good. And that's the thing that they should be really harping back on tonight and tomorrow, looking back at those moments going, these are the things that are working. Let's keep doing that. This is where it looks good. Also, when you look at Vicario today, getting a clean sheet, there was a lot of corners. Cracks, I know it messed you up today. I know. There was a lot of corners that happened. And with all those corners, you go, we're suspect, apparently. Everyone scores against us in corners. Yeah. He got a clean sheet. With that builds confidence. He didn't have Romero in there winning every header. Van was in there, and Van had a great game today for himself to go. He was under pressure. Again, he's a young boy. He's leading that line with Ben Davies. So there's so much more to get out of this game than just 1 free goals, 1 a clean sheet. There's so much more for morale. There's so much more for that smile on the training ground when you go back on it, because Brennan Johnson is now smiling again. And we all know when you work with people and you see someone who's been through a bit of a hard time, then you see them come back smiling, you smile as well.
It's great. It's the greatest.
You know what I mean? Everyone feels it. You feel it inside. They feel it. They want the ball more. You want to entertain them more. The energy changes. And I think it's beautiful to see that happening. Kulicheski, for me, is another human being that you have to go, remember, as TJ said, he's young as well. And sometimes he is our ultimate outball. You want to give it to him because you know it's going to stick to him. That's pressure. And he's handing it like an absolute don. And I think there's so much to get from where we're evolving to. We're nowhere near there yet. And that's the beauty of this journey as well. We're nowhere near there. But there's so many little glimpses and flashes and moments where I go, come on, we can see this is looking good. We can see it's going to get there. And when it doesn't go well, because we know it's going to happen, we're Spurs fans, we know we're going to have an off day and the Highland's going to be absolutely exposed and people are going to run riot and they're going to say, sack everybody, the board, us, everyone. And we're going to go, remember these days.
What, us as well? You're joking.
Rick, trust me, we're on the
Of course we are. We're the first ones out of here.
Absolutely. And I'm keeping a watch in the comments. I need to see more people who have voted, by the way. I'm on the vote hunt. So everyone who's here, I know Crackers made the thing about our neighbours being up for an award. Their show's not as good as this. Let's just be real. We're not getting it because we're stopping them. We're getting it because we're better than them. Just remember that. Yeah?
Come on, Dale.
Just letting them know.
QR code. Hit the QR code down. Tell them.
It makes sense. Just hit it. You know what to do. It's there. If you're watching, it's on the screen. If you're listening, you know where it's in the link. You know it's there. Ricky Sachs don't mess around. It's in the link. He doesn't play games. And also, let's not play humble Ricky. He's up for an award by himself.
Oh, don't.
Let's make sure that he gets one for himself. We will take one as a team, but the big man, the gaffer, he needs one for himself. All right? Make it happen.
Help me. Me and Fabrizio up there. Can you imagine? What's going on here? What's happening there? Bloody me and Fabrizio Romano up. What's happening there? I don't know what's happening in this world, I tell you. Honestly, my wife's going, you and Fabrizio Romano? Are you serious? Yeah,
good
apparently,
company, good hair.
I don't know how it's happened.
Yeah, he's not got as good hair as you, Rick. Not as good hair. Every time you go to the barbers, when you walk in the door, he looks round from cutting the man before hair. He says, oh, Ricky Sachs is here. Here we go. Gives it a big here we go. Gets that brill cream out. He's off. He's ready.
He does with the amount of money I pay for this. I tell you, he does. I tell you, I think that. I want to ask you, Cracks, quickly about Vicario, because you are from the Mad Keepers Union, and you'll forgive me for saying that. You live in a Keepers Union there. Your life's goalkeeping. It's what it is, right? I say the little one. He's not little anymore. He's getting bigger and bigger and louder and louder. That's what these keepers are. They're all getting bigger these days.
Just a 6'1".
He arranged the door for him. He did before he fixed the place there. How important is that, Cracks, for his confidence? The fact that clean sheet, like Dow said, but even when there's been a few corners in there. And he's dealt with them. You know, whatever we say, he's dealt with them. Is that, again, a bit of confidence building there?
Yeah, of course, a clean sheet. That's, what a keeper always loves. I go back to the Arsenal all or nothing. And do you remember, I think they'd won like 7-1 or 7-2 or something. And Ramsdale came into the dressing room and he was absolutely apoplectic that nobody could console him because he'd let a goal in and everybody went, terrible acting because the cameras are on him. No, that's what goalkeepers are like. You could score 20. If you let one in, you will have the ump for hours and hours after. So a clean sheet is always a big tick in a keeper's box. Look, he didn't get pressurized much tonight on corners and that, which did help him. And that's something he really does have to work on. But like I've said before, all goalkeepers, probably except for Neuer, one or two, normally have some chink in the armour or a little weakness or something that they're not quite that good at. So the pressure and corners that he comes under thereof, he needs to work on. He has got to start bigging up a little bit at those. But his shot stopping and his reflexes are incredible. He is a fine goalkeeper as far as that's concerned. So yeah, it's clean sheet today. Might not have been on another day with that penalty that just got smashed against the bar. Which incidentally, just after they missed that penalty, they panned to the Qarabag away end, and there was a girl in there crying because he missed a penalty, and I was like, "Wow, you don't want to come supporting Spurs if that's sending you into tears. One missed penalty." You honestly stick with Qarabag. Don't come anywhere near Spurs because you will be in floods, absolute floods of tears, week in, week. Yeah, Vic had a decent game tonight. But I mean, that handball outside the box last week, that's goalkeepers for you. That's what they do. They're just crazy,
Balmy.
isn't they? They're mad. So yeah.
Absolutely nothing. I mean, I will just say, it does get worse every time you see it.
Oh, and by the way, as Fiona's just pointed out in the comments, thank you very much. The tackle he came out and made in the one-on-one in the game earlier on was like, you see him thundering out and you thought, oh no, here we go, we're down to 9 now. It's like, I was probably going to have Archie Gray going in goal or put Kulu in goal, but he made a absolutely blinding tackle. He really did. So you know, on another day, if you've got a Pickford or something, I don't think he makes that tackle. I don't think he gets anywhere near it. So, you know, sometimes you lose a little bit with a goalkeeper because of the type of keeper they are. And then something like this comes along with that tackle. And he's the type of keeper that does make it. So, you know, it's the swings and roundabouts position, isn't it, with them? So, let's see. Come the weekend at Man U, he's going to have to put his big boy pants on because he is going to get pressured, isn't he, on corners and that. So let's see how he goes. But clean sheet, happy days.
Totally agree. Listen, going into, of course, the half time, it was another eventful half as a Spurs fan. It was basketball at times, it's fair to say. Johnson, of course, scoring for the third match in a row. I think you have to say towards in that first half, big couple of gilded chances for Qarabag. Could have easily gone in 1-1. But, you know, Spurs really riding out that storm, going in at the break. And, you know, we saw actually Dejan Kulusevski coming on for the second half. Jude and given absolute loud applause. There's a lot of love for Decky, I think, for this. Oh, listen, there's always been love for Decky, but I think what we're actually seeing now with Decky, I think Dow's touched upon it, TJ as well touched upon it, that we're maybe seeing the player that we've always thought we would see in a Spurs shirt, that we've now really found the position that he maybe should have always been playing, almost that central role. And you see him guiding and steering games now, almost engine running the team. That's great to see, like I say, Decky doing that. What we are going to quickly do, we are going to squeeze in a very, very late first break of the show for our listeners and audio. Again, can't thank enough of your support, guys. Over 4,500 are watching this live. Your support for Last One on Spurs does not go unnoticed. It is the night shift. It is the late night shift. It means on the late night shift, we've got Richard Cracknell back from annual leave. He's smiling away. Will he be smiling Sunday? We hope so. Alongside Compare and entertainer crackers, it is actor TJ Ramini voicing over the goal for us. Jason McGovern would be so proud. He would be, as he always is. And listen, he's the heart. He's the beat of the show. The Hartman's back. The Hartman's in the house. Darren Hartman returns to Last Word on Spurs. You'll be seeing these boys a lot for our Europa campaign. Will they be taking us all the way to Bilbao, where hopefully, please God, we'll all be there for a live show from Bilbao. Wouldn't that be amazing? Just set us up a little tent somewhere. TJ, Crackers, Hartman, the gang. Can you imagine?
Rick, can you imagine? I'd love to go to Spain. I bet Spain's brilliant. Can you imagine? Must be brilliant. I tell you, you know what? If we make that, I feel sorry for all you boys in the UK because old matey boy right now. Yeah, he's got to get for. It probably should be cheaper to fly from California to Spain than it would from Stansted to Bilbao. Once O'Leary and Ryanair start their loading up the fares. But the great thing is, because I live in one of the islands, I get 75% off my fare as a resident of an island. So I'm going to be going to Bilbao for about £3.60, and everybody else in London is just going to be, well, it's going to be about the same price as them parking tickets on the Qarabag bus, isn't it?
Sounds about right. No, like, what can I say after that? I tell you what I love about this show is you never know where it's going to steer you. With these wonderful people, it will do. A reminder, where do I even go from there? That we are delighted to be sponsored by NordVPN. What a drop mic that is after the Crackers just giving me that kind of intro. Look, NordVPN, for those that aren't aware, it is the fastest VPN you can find in the world. Yes, in the world. You can set your device, I think you're back in the UK, which can mean you can watch your favourite TV shows wherever you are as normal. It means you can watch all of Dow's wonderful, illustrious adverts that we see him on, and my God, we love seeing him. I've got to just say very quickly on this point, I was in the cinema the other day with my little one about to watch Minions. Who pops up? Mr. Hartman. I mean, there he is. There's the Hartman. When you think you can get away from, you can't. That's why we love him. TJ, bless his heart. listen, we wouldn't change it for the world. TJ, bless his heart, we see him all around, and we love seeing TJ on our screens. We're hearing him as well, which is great on the voiceovers. Like I say, golfing now, Jason, I said, we'll be so proud. But look, back on the VPN, where are we going with this? Look, we got 4 extra months for free on a 2-year plan. No residuals, 30-day back money guarantee. Go and check them out. They've been a long-term partner of ours,
Rick,
and they're
let me
great
give you,
all around the world.
Let me give you another little hack. I'll give you another
Please.
little hack with NordVPN, okay?
Please,
because you can set to get you can set it to get your Netflix for the UK, etc., etc. Right. Talking of like buying fares, put your NordVPN on, okay? And if you're going on to something like Sky Scanners to find yourself a flight, put yourself somewhere in like Pakistan, Azerbaijan, or any of the other arms, yeah? Now, then put in the flight from, say, Gatwick to Bilbao. They think you're in Pakistan or Azerbaijan or Shaka Khan, wherever it is you are, yeah? You will actually get a cheaper fare that will cover the cost of your NordVPN, okay? So there's another little hack. VPNs are good things to have. Good things.
I've got mine.
Well, travel tip for you now.
Well,
Last word on travel.
That's me out of a job. Crackers, I'll just take over now. I've got no chance after that. There you go. I'm breaking the voice of using NordVPN, and I'm sacked. Ricky sacked. What can I say? Where do you go from there? Right. Second half. It's time for that set piece, Klaxon. We did get a set piece. We scored from a set piece. Can you believe it? TJ, like I say, celebrating there in the background. Pat Matassar finishing off what was an important goal in the game for Spurs. Of course, give us a little bit of breathing space. 2-0. Fine home at the back post after a dangerous Kulusevski corner. A much-needed goal. Pat back on the score sheet. It feels like it's been ages. Just what Spurs needed. TJ, I'll come to you. Real high hopes last year with Pat Matassar. I was definitely one of his big champions. I loved seeing him in the Spurs lineup. He gave us legs. He gave us energy last season. Is that a goal just to remind the manager, I'm still here, Ange. I'm not going anywhere. A young player, I think, again, probably needs game time to really build up a rhythm. Is that fair? Where is he in terms of?
I think it's all fair, Rick. You know, these are, I know they're young men, right? But they're professional footballers. Like even when we were talking about poor Bergwall going off, you know, we all really felt for the poor kid. However, you know, he's a professional footballer, right? So he's not having a kick around down the park with his friends. You know, you're playing for Tottenham Hotspur at a European game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. If you have to make way for a teammate because it's better for us, it's better for the team, then you have to do it. So with Sarr, I think we were all such fans of his, right? He'd come out of an AFCON and been voted the player of the tournament at, I think, 21 or something like that. An extraordinary talent. And we were delighted to bring him to Tottenham. Again, we got him for pretty good money. And he came in and pretty quickly showed us what he was all about. It's one of those rangy midfielders, just has those kind of bandy legs that he seems to be able to extend and, you know, make an interception. He's got a turn of pace. He can play with both feet and he can pick a pass. However, you know, he's gone off the boil recently. Again, I think if you were to ask him, honestly, how do you think you're doing right now? I'd be like, you know, I'm getting a bit frustrated actually trying to replicate that same level week in, week out. And again, a reminder to all of us that it's really hard. It's really hard to maintain that level, and the very best of them do slip from time to time. And so I was really pleased for him more than anyone else to get a goal today. Do I think he'll get a start against United on Sunday? No, I don't. But as we all know, and of course, you know, Pep is constantly banging on about it. Sonny was talking about it recently. Rodri was talking about it. You know, the amount of games that these boys have to face when you are in 4 competitions every single year, you have to have not only a deep squad, but a deeply talented, ready-to-go squad. And to Cracker's point that, you know, Dragusin looked rusty when he came into the game and just kind of didn't look match fit. Unfortunately, that's something that he's just going to have to deal with in training, because of course you're not going to displace Romero or Van der Ven unless they're injured. And so I was really pleased for Sarr that he came in and stamped his authority on the game. I thought both him and Biss were really strong today. Did they lose the ball a few times? Yes, that's going to happen as a central midfielder. Did he misplace a few passes? Yes, he did. But his work rate, and again, both of them, was tireless. I know I keep going on about this evening, but I'm in a really good place after watching this performance. To Darren's point, to your point, Ricky, to Cracker's point, and to so many of the viewers and the listeners, this will potentially be a seminal game for this current squad, a game that they can look back upon and go, listen, we did the business with 10 men for 90 minutes. And not only did the business and kind of hung on and didn't lose, we scored 3 goals unanswered. And we worked our socks off and we pressed with one man less. You know, it was such a heroic, courageous performance from these young men. So I was delighted for Pap. Good for him, man. Tough position to play. And I was so pleased that he got a goal which has eluded him for quite some time. Fair play to the young man.
Lovely words there, TJ. And I'd say being echoed a lot by some lovely comments are getting in. Many loving this panel. They are. The energy, the vibes. This is not to bring those vibes down in any way. I wouldn't want to do that. But we have to discuss the penalty to Qarabag. Let's go with the most positive person you'll meet in your life, Darren Hartman. He'll take the penalty one. He takes the difficult ones the last. He takes the difficult questions. He's there for it. He's there for it. Someone's got to be there for him on here. Bloody hell, we need them. Now, penalty to Qarabag. Now, Biss initially catching, I'll try and pronounce his name, but forgive me, guys. You know my pronunciations aren't the greatest. Cafarquliyev in the box, but then got the ball with his challenge. Bayramov took it. Referee Dalajod deemed the initial contact before he won the ball to be enough to warrant the spot kick. But I think many would argue he was looking for it, but he got the decision. We are late in the day, so very quickly, Dal, yes or no, right decision or wrong decision for you? Was that a penalty in real time? We're using a bit of stills here. Was it real? Was it a penalty?
It was a penalty. It was one of those ones that if it goes against you, you go, but he got the ball. And if you're the attacking side, you go, but he got the man first. And that's what it was. The guy played for it. He hung his foot out as he saw Basuma because he kind of half goes and then goes properly. And when he half goes, he makes contact. Once you've done that, you're giving a ref an easy decision because VAR will just look for contact. That's what VAR is doing. And it's sort of contact. It's never going to change the decision on that. So, you know what? It is what it is. And I know a lot of people want to debate it and fight it. We know how the system works now. And you know the image they're going to do. Like you put on screen for those who are watching, you can see the stills. That's ball. That's man. It is what it is right now in football. It is. And if there's one before that as well, unfortunately, you probably won't have it, where his right foot is on Basuma's. That's where the contact's been made. And that's where the penalty is. And I think, again, some people would have looked at Basuma's performance today, and he did have a few moments where he was on it, a few moments when he was off. That's also part of his game. Whereas the player of our midfield who's got to help the back four out, sometimes a little bit overzealous, sometimes a bit excited. He didn't have to go to ground there. He could have just jockeyed him and kept going with him. And it's learning. It really is about that learning. And thankfully, the penalty was skied. We saw the lady cry, and we're not crying right now.
We did see the lady cry, as Crackers told us earlier. And like I say, it remained at the time 2-0 Spurs. Terrible spot kick. And then actually straight after that, another chance of Qarabag. Juninho hit the right-hand post with a low strike in the Spurs box. And for those that I've got to say, I think it's really important that we bring this up on this show. Hopefully many will feel like we're not trying to sugarcoat it. I think we have, we're not stupid as Dal said, we're not idiots. Why am I laughing at saying that? But, at the same time, they had a number of chances. I hear the crowd going, oh, yes, you are. Oh, no, we're not. Some pantomime villain going, oh, no, we're not. But with all due respect, Qarabag had their chances. If they put them away, you could argue a different game. But all we can do is honestly just say, Spurs took their chances. I think that's the one thing we've been saying about Tottenham in so many of the recent games during the start of the season is they've not been clinical. Well, you can't argue about that tonight. They've put the goals away they need to put away, and it completely and utterly obviously changes the game in terms of it looking really comprehensively. One man that made sure it was comprehensive was Dominic Solanke. I'm going to come around to you, Crackers, on him. I think, like I say, we are now emerging and seeing exactly what Dominic Solanke is going to bring to this Spurs side. It was 3-0 Spurs for Dom. He makes it 2 goals in 2 as he follows up Son's save shot to fire home. He is now firmly up and running. A lovely stick move from Tottenham. Sarr actually superb at the start of the move. But again, Solanke at the heart to finish it off. Just how excited, Cracks, are you about finally having a genuine number 9 that is a poacher in amongst the box?
more than just a poacher, Rick. I mean, he's worked his cock off tonight, hasn't he? I mean, he was such a pest. He was strong. He was at people. He set up the first goal, didn't he, for Brennan? But he did. I mean, he absolutely worked tonight. And if he's not actually involved in the action directly, if you're on the ball, he's pulling people away. He's just being strong. He's just somebody that you've got to deal with and leaving gaps for others. So, yeah, he looks a decent buy, doesn't he? And bearing in mind, he is feeling rather big shoes as well, isn't he? Some big Harry Kane shaped shoes, which is going to be very, very difficult to do. So he's got that pressure on him. Whether he's somebody that feels that 65 million that's been spent on him, some of them don't. It's like, well, I didn't ask you to pay it, you paid it. But so far, so good. He's up and running, and he's just a handful. He's a pest and a good goal poacher as well. So, look, the proof of the pudding comes at the weekend, doesn't it? If you can go and do that at places like Old Trafford, and if you can go to St James's Park, or you can go to Stamford Bridge, and you can do that sort of thing as well, then you really have got something on your hands, haven't you?
Absolutely.
That's where you've got to do it. But you can only beat what's in front of you and work your cock off with what you're up against on the night. And he done it. He done it tonight. He was the man, wasn't he? So yeah, it was a good performance tonight. Well done. Well done.
I've got to say one thing, Chris. I mean, I'm always saying this. I do wonder what Hollywood are thinking when they've seen TJ and Darren Hartman on here, and they're having lines of "worked your cock off." I'm thinking, yes, that will go down well at the BAFTAs.
I'm not like a diet Ricky Gervais, and I really like when he went out to Hollywood and just didn't give a monkey's what he had to say. So I'm like Ricky Gervais when you're ordering from Wish, really. So perhaps I need to come out to Hollywood and come and go and hang out in a few actors' bars and just bring a little bit of Cockney joy to the streets of Hollywood and the boulevards.
This is what makes this show for me so special, because no one else would ever dream of putting that in a sentence. And it's just the caliber of people we get on this show. I have to laugh or I'll cry. Look, Crackers, I love you. I love you. I love you all. I love you all. I'll tell you, this show, where does it take you? I will just absolutely... How do you keep your composure after a lie like that? Honestly, absolutely superb. I'm going to come to TJ if I can. I will bring in Andy's thoughts on Dominic Solanke. He was asked after the game, is Dom now fully fit? And just said on Dom that he's getting there now. Like I said, he didn't do too much preseason with us, and he has one game that he's out for 2 weeks, while the other guys are already building up their fitness. He's getting there, and I probably would have played him for longer, but I wanted to play him, obviously, for this game, just in the circumstance of the game. But for one thing or another, just keeps him going and ticking over. Great for him to get another goal, but his all-round performance was really strong. When you're down to 10, you need your striker to be able to hold up the play and do some hard running, which I thought he did so well for us. And I think that's a really important point TJ makes there, because we've not had the luxury of having a player that can hold up the ball. And you actually said this on the show we did, obviously, the weekend after the Brentford win, that it's great to actually have a striker that can hold up the ball, because it just gives you so many more options, doesn't it, TJ, when you're trying to go forward and have players to play the ball off, like your Deckies, like your Johnsons.
Yes, I mean, listen, I made the point about Dom last season before he was a Tottenham player. I thought that he was a player that we could get and that would really suit our current system with Ange. And I was delighted when we brought him in. Number nines, right? I mean, they're kind of... Is it too dramatic or drastic to say that they're a dying breed in the modern game? I think it's fair to say that a proper number 9, and again, people who know the game and have been following, for a long time, will understand completely what I mean by that. So there's no point me going in and trying to define what that is. However, he really does feel like an old-fashioned number 9, a target man, the guy that you can play a ball into his feet and he's going to be able to control it and turn either way. You can play it to his chest, same deal, play it to his head. We've seen how dangerous he is with his head already. He was very unlucky not to score in the derby with his head. And I'm just delighted that he's at the club. He gives us a fulcrum, like a focal point that, again, when you're in trouble, you can always just ping the ball into this guy, and he's gonna do something positive with it. To Cracker's point about players who come in with a big price tag, and some are aware and some are not, I would say like Richarlison was definitely aware, and just couldn't get out from underneath it. And what I like about Dom is that whether he's aware of his price tag or not, again, to Cracker's point, I think he's definitely aware of the shoes that he is attempting to fill. How can you not talk about somebody coming in to play that striker role at Tottenham Hotspur and not talk about Harry Kane, one of the greatest exponents of that position the modern game has ever seen, whichever club you happen to follow. And so I'm delighted for him. I do think that's one of the reasons why he is working quite so hard. He is leaving no critic a millimeter to say this boy isn't doing everything he possibly can to stamp his authority on this team. And so again, I've heaped enormous praise onto this young man's shoulders this evening. I will continue to do so. The goals are starting to come. I'm very optimistic and very hopeful about what he will bring us for the future, whether it's goals, industry, work rate, endeavour, or all of the above. Of course, I'm hoping for the latter.
Amen. Lovely words there, TJ. Now, there was a bit of a concern in the game as Son went down and limped off to be replaced by Werner. Bentancur was also sent on in Basuma, players who had a pretty erratic display, to be fair. And just giving an update on both Sonny and also Archie Gray. On Sonny, he said, I haven't spoken to him, but like I said, he felt a bit tired. But again, we'll probably get maybe a bit of an update between now and the United game on Sunday, but one to keep an eye on. Archie Gray doesn't look like a massive concern. He did take a knock to the ankle, but Anne said he did not stop running throughout, so he can't be that bad. And then, like I say, Qarabag, for all due respect, finding the ball in the net, but Juninho, he was given offside. I mean, at that point, me and Dow were testing out the bloody thing, and Dow's they've only gone and scored. I thought, oh my God, I thought we were going to have a calm 15 minutes to go. And they quickly texted me and disallowed. I said, send it to Costa and calm him down. Bless his heart. Send it to Costa and calm him down. They had the ball in the net, but like I say, it was disallowed. Worth noting, the singing section, the South Stand, actually doing an absolute great job keeping the atmosphere going. Create the Spurs song sheets, return of the shelf. THFC flag, some real good work going on actually on these European nights to build that atmosphere. And one thing to also say is a great save from Vicario at full stretch to deny Cafarquliyev. Thank God we're only playing Qarabag once. Or we might be playing them twice if they reach a final. God help me, what's going to happen? But like I say, that was a really good save from Vicario, you have to say. And after the game said, look, same as every other game, I just select the team that would win us the game of football. He was asked about maybe picking Fraser Forster over him. He said, look, I select the best team for the game. It was no different in regards to the keeper selection. So be interesting to see, obviously, what happens with that. If that changes throughout the competition, maybe if Spurs do accumulate the necessary points, they may bring Fraser Forster in towards the end of it. But we'll see. I think the one thing that we all love seeing, and that we love seeing, is about youngsters getting an opportunity. That was Mikey Moore. Mikey Moore got the call from Ange. Jogged back after a high five from Pedro Porro. He was introduced to Dominic Solanke. Big cheers for Mikey Moore. Lovely to see Mikey Moore make his full European debut for Spurs. And, again, a young kid that's got listen, he's got the world at his feet. He really, really has. And, I mean, I don't know how you boys feel on this point, Cracks. Is this the competition you think Mikey should get regular game time in? Or, again, is it a case that it'll be dipped in and out depending on opponents and how we're doing in the games, really?
Yeah, any player of that age and even with that much potential, you do have to dip them in, and be it winning the game and giving him that last sort of 10, 12 minutes. Perfect for him. It's we should go through from this group stage, touching wood and skittle a few teams along the way. And if you can play the likes of Gray and Mikey Moore and Bergvall and get yourself through, then it's like we've said, it's a long old season. There's a lot of games. So if you can bring in some reliable, good youngsters, give them some experience, give players a rest, with league games coming thick and fast as well, then brilliant. It was great to see. Crowd sung his name. So, must be feeling 20 foot tall. Brilliant. That's exactly what you want to see. And then as he progresses, you might start to see a second half from him or something, then maybe a full game in the Europa or even like the League Cups and things. So, yeah, it's exactly what you should be doing with youngsters, dipping them in, dipping them out, giving them a little bit of a taste.
Yeah.
Dare I say it, the mob down the road last night in the League Cup done it. They had a goalkeeper 16 years old and a few days. So this is what clubs should be doing with youngsters, dipping them in, give them a little taste, bring them back out again, and it's the right thing to do. Some of them, depending on the nature of them, are more than ready to go in. They'd all go in from the start. They'd all take their chance. But it's all about when they do make mistakes, staying a bit positive, staying behind them, letting them make those mistakes, but not sort of turning on them. That's exactly what you need to do. So, yeah, well done, young man. Good stuff.
Oh, man, I'm so glad we're recording after hours with some of the comments that are coming through here. It feels like a blue movie that we're watching after this. It has to be said. Right, we're going to close off on Qarabag for a second. I tell you what, there's certain phrases I say on this show that, I never thought I would say. We're going to close off on Qarabag. Where is my life going and where are we going on this bloody show? We're going to bring in Andrew's comments just for a second. We're going to do a quick five on United because we are approaching midnight here in the UK and the world does not wait for any of us. It's early morning starts for all of us here, as we said. TJ, bless his heart, we're lucky where he is. It's just beginning. That's the lovely thing about TJ. He comes on in. The good thing about TJ is when he comes on here, if a defeat happens, he's got the rest of the day to either mull on it or get excited by it. TJ, is that a good or a bad thing? We never get a chance to do a This Is Your Life with you on this show, which we have to at some point.
It depends on the result. It depends on the result. Like if you've got a 4:30 a.m. kickoff and you lose that game, I mean, then you've got the whole weekend absolutely destroyed. Before we move on to Andrew, before we move on to United, sorry to hijack
go
thread. Just last words on the Qarabag game, on the game this evening. If I were one player in the current squad, I would be very, very, very nervous about my position, and that man would be Pedro Porro. I thought Archie Gray was absolutely outstanding tonight, and Pedro Porro, obviously been with us for a few seasons now, a very gifted player, often pops up with some great goals. I think it would be fair to say, even if he were listening, that I think it's a fair assessment to say he's still a better player going forward than he is a defender going backwards. Archie Gray looks to be, dare I say, a generational talent. I mean, my goodness, at such a young age to be quite so composed and quite that skillful. And the thing is that level of technical ability, that's not going to abandon a player like him. That only ever improves. If we look at, great technical players over the years, dare I mention, like, of course he's not there yet, but somebody like Glenn Hoddle or somebody like that, or whoever you like, Iniesta, like somebody who's very, very technical. I was so impressed by this young man tonight. So Pedro Porro, watch your back.
I love that. Listen, again, I mean, we all want to see players do well. We want to see them chomping at the bit. And I think one to keep an eye on there, definitely, when you say that, TJ, because, at the end of the day, you want that competition to be pushing the squad. You want players to be, really breathing down the neck of others.
Vital. And if we are going to become that club that we keep talking about, that we keep aspiring to be, it's absolutely vital. You want them all chipping away at each other. You want them in training, like, players coming off the pitch going, oh my God, did you see that? You really want that. You want Ange and his coaching staff going into the team and looking at 11 empty spaces on that team sheet and thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do here. That's what we want. That's the only way that we are going to truly push on, rather than being that team that flatters to deceive.
Oh, man, totally agree. Right, we're going to quickly fit in Andrew's comments just for a second. These have come through to us late off the press. He was asked about the Radu Dragusin sending off and what that meant for Bergvall. We were nothing specific on that. It's just a consequence of us starting the game really slowly. It was not just a great start for us. We were really passive with our passing, whether it was the delay to the game or whatever. It's no excuse. We kind of shot ourselves in the foot. And unfortunately for Radu and for Lucas, they paid the ultimate price. But as a team, we just didn't start the game in the way we wanted to. and the way we needed to, and we made the game more challenging for us. The response was great, absolutely, but it was disappointing that we had to be put in that position to begin with, and that's, I think, fair to say. He was asked about Brennan Johnson coming off as well. He said, look, he's fine. It was just tactical. I thought with the way we play, we would need Decky because the way the game was going. Decky is like a hybrid midfielder. He can break on the right wing. It was just a tactical switch, but Brennan is fine. He was finally asked how brave his players were to keep on attacking. And is that down to the principles you established last season, like the Chelsea game, which if those remember what Spurs did in that Chelsea game, if they need reminding at all, Spurs deploying a very, 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 very high line at the point of the game, still really in Tottenham's grasp to get a point. And said, look, I think it's part of that. Obviously, we want to be a team that tackles whatever challenge we have in a certain way. When you go down to 10 men and variable at times, you can't be as aggressive or keep the ball as much as you want to play or as fluently, but for the most part, the intent was there. The first goal comes from us pressing. We were pressing up really, really high, which is what we wanted to do, and we ended up scoring a goal from it. I think for the most part, the boys showed that intent. That's the kind of team we want to be, and whatever the challenge we have before us is to tackle it that way. So, Ange, being clear, being brave, as he always says, that's the way we're going to play, mate. So there you go. We are going to squeeze in our very, very final break of the show. And guys, we're going to do a quick 5 of Man United. That is okay. Said to these guys it'd be an hour. It's 1 hour and 20. It's what do I know these days? I'm so sorry. We're gonna take them no later than 10 past midnight here. So
conscious of the time, Rick.
Always conscious of the time. Well, if you didn't stop working your cock off, we would have finished earlier. Right, okay. Where do we go on this show? We're going to go to Man United. We're going to go streaming into Man United. Man United have come off the back of a draw against FC 20. Disappointing draw for them in the Europa League. It's an opportunity for Spurs, of course, to build on that momentum. They've had, of course, a week in which they've seen 3 wins, which is lovely. This would mean for Tottenham be back-to-back wins in the Premier League. Both teams mid-table. And have rebounded since defeats to big rivals since. We'll start with TJ. We'll end on Cracks and we'll bring Dow in the middle. TJ, Man United to come on, of course, Sunday. Always a big game in the footballing calendar. A glamour game, always going away to Old Trafford. How do you feel about it? Is this the perfect confidence boost to go there? Give me your feelings and a prediction.
I mean, it's a really difficult one to call. I think it's fair to say, obviously, United are nothing like the team that they used to be. Again, this is a team that really suffers from identity. I just don't know who they are. Who in the footballing world could say, oh, United play this style? Like Ten Hag, I think has been a disaster for them. He's obviously been with them a lot longer than Ange has been with us, and I know he's under a lot of pressure. I mean, listen, I do actually think we'll go there and get a result. We talked about Qarabag's profligacy in front of goal today, and listen, that's just football. It often happens. How many? I mean, look at the Leicester game. Look at we've played so many games where we've created chance after chance. Bro, you and I have been texting each other, Rick, saying, oh, we should have been 6-0 up by half time. Unless you put the ball in the back of the net, it matters for naught. This evening, we just seem to show, in the last 3 games, we've just seen to show, even Pep has said, it is my job to get the team into the final third. It is their job to put the ball into the back of the net. Ange is a very similar coach. They've had similar systems, similar training, all that kind of thing. And you can see that's what he's looking to do. I will get you all the way to the promised land, but it is up to you to kick the door down. And so if we can turn pressure and chances into goals, I think we could go there with a bit of a statement win. Will we come away with a clean sheet? I doubt it. I'm going to go for a 3-1 Tottenham victory at Old Trafford.
I love that. TJ, we love your energy. You're back with us very, very soon. Wonderful, TJ. I mean, isn't it lovely to have him back twice in a week? We're blessed. Lovely to have TJ on here.
Thank you, brother. Lovely to be on the show. Listen, man, lovely comments as well from the watchers and viewers this evening. Thank you. We always do our best for you, man. Whoever's on this show, we always do our best for you, but it's lovely to have that reciprocated. Again, if you could please go and vote. Rick, maybe get the social media people to post a text link or something, just so people can press a button and it takes them through, just so they can vote. Because to Cracker's point, my goodness, if that mob from round the corner did anything at us, can you imagine? Oh my goodness, I can feel that. I feel sick even talking about it. So please go on, vote for the show. Lovely to be on. Thank you, all the viewers and listeners. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Crackers. Thank you, Darren. Lovely to see you all. Cheers. Good night.
TJ, we love you. We love you. We do. We're going to go to Dow. We're going to finish on Cracks. Dow, Thank you so much. I say both all you guys are going to be part of this European journey on here, and where it takes us will be a lot of fun. And also, we'll be working off what Crack said earlier. We'll be working that, off. Now, how much do we need to work that off when it comes to Old Trafford on Sunday? How much will we need to show a bit of that when it comes to Old Trafford? Because it's not an easy, happy hunting ground for Tottenham. We know how difficult it will be there. Team news for United coming in that all their injuries come in line of their defence, notably Lenny Yoro, their first choice left back, Luke Shaw. They're still missing, not expected to return until looks like at the moment mid-October. For Spurs, we know Richarlison will still be out. Wilson Odebear looks like he'll be out for around 7 to 10 weeks, according to L'Equipe. So one to keep an eye on there. So it's, again, Old Trafford, you're just not sure what United you're going to get, are you, Dow? You're just not sure what United you're going to come up against. This is the problem.
No, well, as I think TJ hit nail on the head, they haven't got an identity. They don't know. If you're a Man United fan, you don't know what's going to turn up. And if you're playing against them, you don't know what's going to turn up. I think it's one of those games where our high line and what we're doing is going to be tested. They've got Rashford, who, if he wants to play, that pace is going to be a problem. It's going to be a challenge. Garnacho, they've got players in there that can hurt us. So it's not a game, as you say. I don't feel it's going to be a clean sheet for us in any which way, shape, or form. Because if we can give Qarabag these kind of opportunities, we are going to give Man United some of these opportunities. And I believe that they're at a stage where they're going to be more confident and they may put one away. So I'll never ever back us to lose. Never going to happen. So for me, I feel it's a 2-1 win. I feel that Dom's going to get one. I feel that it may even be that Brennan. I like to hear that he got taken off half-time and it was tactical. Let's rest a happy man and bring him back on. I hope that Son is playing. I'm going to do a little bit of damage limitation. If Son doesn't play and Werner plays, I know people are already shooting him down, saying what a bad player he is. I'm going to throw this out to you. Werner's probably one of the quickest players on the wing right now. And if you've got Werner one side, Brennan the other side, and a Dom with the confidence that he's playing with, all Werner's got to do is whip it in and Dom's going to be there. And we may see this unit work in a very different way. And that's what we've got up top right now. We've got different variations. Each player brings a different element to this front line. No one's the same. Werner's not Son. They're not going to play it in the same way. He's not going to be cutting in and wanting to shoot. He's going to just beat the man and whip it in. If Dom knows that, he's going to get more headed opportunities and more chances. So I feel there's going to be goals in the game. I don't feel it's going to be a boring one to watch. Get the popcorn in, batten down the hatches, get ready for a fun Sunday. Tell the kids you need a bit of a breathing space because you may kick one of them when you jump in the air. So it's gonna get serious. It's going to get serious. And I feel that it's going to be a 2-1 Spurs win.
Now, the amount that's in your house of kids, you will be kicking one of them, bless your heart. You've got to try and find the room. Listen, it's sort of like midnight viewing. It's a calm, quiet household. And then one of them wakes up. What are you going to do? It literally is mad.
Turn the game louder. Turn it louder.
Honestly, turn it down. Turn it down. Now, we love you. We're going to see you back on soon for the European journey. We love you. The wonderful Darren Hartman. Isn't it great vibes? Isn't it great vibes? You bring these guys on, the vibes they bring, the likes of TJ, the likes of Hartman. Closing with Crackers. Crackers, Sunday. Man United away, Old Trafford. You've seen a lot of these. I'm not going to wager. But what do you think? I think he needs to stay off the wood, given what he's been going through tonight.
I said at the start of the season, Rick, that progress for Tottenham is now going to places like Anfield and Old Trafford and Stamford Bridge and St James's Park and starting to get something from these games. Man United are in a funny old place at the moment. One week they're crime watch and next week they're Baywatch, isn't they? You just don't know what you're getting. They're either Tommy Hilfiger or Benny Hill's figure. It's just you just can't see what's what with them. So look, I do know that a lot of their fans really ain't having Ten Hag. They're not a happy fan base at all. So if we can go there, get at them, even if we can nick the first goal as well, that will really pile some pressure on. That could cause some problems. I do worry that Garnacho and Rashford especially seems to be playing with a bit more of a smile on his face at the moment. So we've got to deal with them. But they do, as you said, look shaky at the back as well. So we can get at them. I wouldn't be surprised to see if this was a Desmond's. It ends up 2-2, 1-1 or something. But or even an odd goal either way. But if we go there, can be brave, smart at the back as well, just, not make silly mistakes, then we've got every chance, because I do fancy us to actually bag a couple up there. Every chance. Should be a good game. Hopefully Sunday night. We've still got these smiles on our faces. Let's see. Let's see.
Yeah. Got to say, it's been an unbelievable show. You guys are amazing. Again, I always say, no disrespect, the panelists make the show. I'm a steer of the ship. But when you've got people like this, can I just say to you, believe me, it is absolutely effortless. I just turn up and these guys do their thing. They're amazing. Over 5,000 of you watch this live. Again, thank you so much for all your incredible support for Last Word on Spurs. And again, it's another monumental week for this amazing podcast where you guys have taken us to and where we're going. Like I say, as the boys have implored you to do so, as we implore you to do so, go and check and vote for us in this upcoming Football Content Awards. You've made us finalists. Can you help us lift the trophy in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? Someone's got to lift the trophy in the stadium. Let it be us. Hit that QR code. Check out the audio description. But I'm going to say, on behalf of Mr. TJ Ramini, our voiceover king that he is, actor, heartbeat of this show, Mr. Hartman, we love you. We love you on here, we do. And from Mr. Richard Cracknell, the biggest compare you need in your life, an entertainer and presenter, we've been the Last Word on Spurs. From Cracks, from the Heartman, from TJ, from me, we've been the Last Word on Spurs. Keep safe, keep well. And as always, come on, you Spurs.